Hey there, welcome to Why We Roll, a tabletop role-playing game design podcast.
We're your hosts, Chris Pickett, creator of the historical fantasy game Danse Macabre, and Wythe Marshall, creator of the political sci-fi game Stillfleet.
Throughout the show, Chris and Wythe hope to amplify new creative voices. We'll chat with different TTRPG designers, focusing on the world of indie games.
We take a curious approach to game design, working through a range of mechanical and narrative questions that are pertinent to many designers, players, and GMs.
We hope to showcase fresh and even challenging ideas about what makes imagination-based games just so powerful.
Okay, let's find out why we roll.
Okay, all right, I believe we are live.
All right.
What's up, Chris?
Not much, Wythe. How are you doing?
Okay, how you been?
I've been better, but I'm happy to report that my partner and I, Jen, are on the mend from a week-long bout with COVID. Luckily, my voice is back. Luckily, my mind is back as well, and ready to get back into some Stillfleet.
Yeah, well, I'm very glad that you're feeling better, and yeah, happy to jump back in. It's been a bit of a break, obviously for the stream, but for the pod, won't feel like a break. So that's one good thing about time. And yeah, we were just remarking before we dive in that we don't totally remember all the details of where we left off, which is totally fine. And so we're just going to kind of pick it up and continue this game. And we can always, pivot and take it in other directions. So thanks for rolling with me. This is why a GM should always take copious notes and not assume, we'll play again in 2 weeks. So why don't we start off with, I can intro, the game and where we are in like time and space. And then we can get a perspective on maybe your character and what you've been up to so far. And then we will resume sort of real time play from there. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Let's go for it.
Okay, awesome. So the game is Stillfleet. It's a political science fiction RPG at its weirdest. And basically the idea is you work for the worshipful company of Stillfleeters, which is very greedy and exploits various planets and derelict space stations throughout the void. And in this scenario, we have one void miner. Usually there'd be a team. In this case, this is a special mission where there's just one person being sent, whose name is Svarm, being played by Chris. So Chris, do you want to introduce sort of who Svarm is?
Yeah, Svarm is a Morgul Razi. So Morgul, or what's the colloquial name? Mournfolk.
Yeah.
Mournfolk, yeah. So yeah, Morgul or Mournfolk are semi-inorganic beings from the planet of Gijou, most of which have left the planet, but they are basically the aftermath of a planet-wide war, where they've sworn off war and those kinds of conflicts and the difference that marks two different people. And yeah, they're twin-headed, Janus-faced blue elves made out of nanites, as I understand them. Svarm in particular is a translator, somewhat works as a little bit of a diplomat on Spindle, but their kind of primary job with the Co is as a Razi, so they act as a scout, kind of first into new territories, and Svarm is particularly interested in bridging the language gap between Spindle, between the Co and any new or strange species that they might meet out in the void.
Awesome. In this venture, it makes sense why Svarm was sort of chosen for this, because a high up person in the company has gone missing on Gijou, in an area that's considered dangerous, and the company wants you to get them back. And so it makes sense. This is also possibly, politically sensitive, so that's why they, I guess, don't want to send a team. So we did sort of a first half in real life several weeks ago now. So that's kind of the barrier we're running into. It's like, oh yeah, wait, who took notes on what? So Svarm, let me add to the stream a map of Gijou, the sort of moss planets. This is a temperate Earth-like planet with one very large continent. The company has really only explored part of that is covered in mostly in forests of moss or in grassy sort of rocky mountains. And this is where the Sapphire Elves once lived. I mean, whatever these organisms were, they sort of have a humanoid body plan now, but they are made entirely of nanites, of blue, glittering kind of wires of crystal that can form and reform, and they do not age. And the Sapphire Elves had this terrible civil war. Most of them became Mournfolks. They merged, became sort of two people as one, and then left the planet. But a few have stayed behind, and they've basically stayed behind to destroy anyone who might have advanced technology that would lead to essentially big genocidal civil wars in the future. So they pretty much would kill anyone from the company sort of on sight. There's other sapients that are native to this planet. Further south, there are lots of essentially frog-like sapients called Mulruks, and the company didn't really know that and was basically destroying their habitat, stealing their land, and then has, intentionally now has this huge conflict with them. So that is sort of a political backdrop to this planet.
Typical imperialist capitalism.
Typical, and also funny in that, you are in a weird position. I guess funny in the sense of like interesting noir, because you are kind of an ex-Sapphire Elf who hasn't been on planet for a long time except as a worker for this company.
Right. And
presumably you want to prevent, massive conflicts and violence and such. I guess that's up to you. So the Stiffworks, the time-space gate that allows travel to this planet from Spindle, the alien space station that the company is headquartered on, is the Hedera Gate in Middlemoss. So in this low, very vast area covered in essentially very, very large mosses. So like if you imagine like a hedge maze where it's not like a tall forest of redwoods, so there's not like a lot of shadows, but when you're in it, you can't really see that far because there's plants like all around you. So it's sort of like that for just hundreds of kilometers in a row. And you have traveled sort of on the beaten path, and then I think through the hills and got to this smaller area called Paltmoss that is on the hills looking up into this very high plateau called, in Sapphire Elf, some unpronounceable sounds, Yizich Tsawaran, the Elf Crypts. And somewhere in the Elf Crypts, your erstwhile boss is doing something. And Chris, do you want to sort of pick up with like what did Svarm find at the end of last adventure?
Yeah, so coming into the Elf Crypt, I'm not going to try to pronounce that because it's
bit of a joke.
Yeah, if the creator says it's unpronounceable, then I'm not even going to go for it. But yeah, coming into the Elf Crypt, kind of on the border of the Paltmoss and the Elf Crypt, Svarm, while scouting around, found a party of the Molochs, the basically toad or frog people, who seemed to also be looking for Svarm's target, for lack of a better term, who is a Gelasti subdirector with the Co, who has gone rogue. We don't know why the subdirector is on the planet, but these Molochs did refer to somebody, I think they called him the Pink One, which, most Gelasti as kind of like goo-based salamander-ish creatures tend to be pink, as I understand, pink, kind of fuchsia. So, yes, Svarm approached these Molochs, hoping that there could be some kind of communication, some kind of bridge built there, but failed at communicating very well and was attacked on sight. Then captured, netted by the Molochs, and met with their... Say it one more time for me. It's Spark.
Oh, Sparkseer is the title of their leader. There's a priest kind of character who is in charge of this group.
There we go. I keep on wanting to say Spark Sphere, but I know that that's wrong. So it's tripping me up. But the Sparkseer then tried to basically read Svarm's mind. Svarm resisted because the Co doesn't want anyone to know that they're on the planet. And I guess, Svarm's trying to kind of keep an air of mystery, be like, maybe I'm a sapphire elf who isn't a part of the Co. And so resisted successfully and then got knocked out at the end of our last session. So things are not looking up for Svarm or either of their personalities right now.
Right. And do you want to say it by means of like flashback, like what are Svarm's constituent selves like? Are they just the same person, sort of different moods, or is it like two different people for Svarm?
I would say it's the same person, but maybe just different aspects of the same person. So, like Janus face number 1, which maybe is like the left face, stage left face. I almost imagine it as like left brain, right brain a little bit, even though, that's not really a thing. But, like the left face is a little bit more analytic, a little bit more facts-based, and most of the kind of like emotional content that Svarm puts out into the world, or emotional reactions that they put out into the world, tend to come from the right face instead of the left. So yeah, it's, one being, one mind, one person, but just a division in how they present themselves outwardly.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we've left it open on purpose, so people have run very different versions of Mournfolk, which I think is part of the fun of speculative, of creating species and whatever monsters that are aliens that are actually reflections on people. And
absolutely.
So you get sort of the origins of consciousness and the breakdown of the bicameral mind idea that everyone is actually two people in your brain and they're just stitched together by this sort of thin webbing that doesn't always work right. Or you get, completely different takes on this concept. So that makes sense.
And
go ahead.
Morgul are not a monolith, so it should be put out there.
Nothing is a monolith to me.
Except for monoliths, of course.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah. Menhirs and hinges, I guess, are monoliths. And we can change stuff too. So, if Spark Sphere sounds better than Spark Seer, we could just change it.
Spark Sphere doesn't make sense in the context, but yeah, Spark Seer is great.
Maybe it's actually just like a round robot that the Mulruk
that they worship,
or like interact with, and are like, yeah, this is like a very useful, immortal, smart being. So our priest class is drones. That would be great. It could be Sparks here. So I believe the refactor's name. Does this sound right based on your memory? Since neither of us apparently, I really don't know what happened to my notes. I know I wrote this somewhere. Yeah. Is Shrashun full of Zay or Shrashun?
I believe that's the refactor who gave me the mission. Who gave you the mission?
That is a canonically in my head a Gelasti refactor. So I thought that was the person for whom you're looking, but I could be. I should have just rewatched.
Well, I recently edited that episode and listened to all of this, so I should be the one to remember, but it's a blank right now.
Okay. Well, for ease of being able to run this game, do you want to go with Shrashun is the person, or do you think that is okay?
Yeah, Shrashun sounds great.
And if we listen back, it'll be like a weird test. If we're totally wrong, if I'm totally wrong, my bad, and we'll have to do punch-ins for every single time we say this person's name. It'll be really weird. Okay, so you are looking for a Gelasti refactor named Shrashun, who is on this planet. I believe you did get one clue, which you haven't mentioned, I think, which was that they're very interested in Sapphire Elf architect and advanced, technologies that might be available in the Elf crypts. So that was one potential reason. Or I forget, that might have also been something that was implied you should be on the lookout for, but I think that was like another thing in play along with the political situation with the Mulrics.
No, yeah, that was something that the refractor who gave me the mission told me.
Okay.
I do remember that because I made a check or a roll to see if there was like anything under the surface that she wasn't sharing with me, and we kind of got that out of her.
Excellent. And then I guess another thing to mention is just that the pulp moss is really far north. It's past the human and Wythe inhabited part of the planet, which is really just this valley, the Keening Swale. And it's far from Lurklaw, the traditional home of the Mulrooks. So this warband is not probably from here. It's a little cool and a little dry on this side of the Elf Crypts. And on the other side, while it's nice and wet, it is also home to the most Sapphire Elves. So it is not a place the Mulrooks normally go. So, okay, Svarm, you awaken. Slowly, maybe you could describe how coming to consciousness feels for a being made of nanites that is kind of biologically immortal and actually two people whose consciousness has melted, but you wake up. It is night on Gijou. You are still outside. You've been dragged not deeper to the pulp moss, still are kind of around the edge, and up the hill. You are now like at the foot of the Elf Crypts proper. So there's red, not sheer cliffs, but like pretty steep. And it's not really a mountain range. It is like a big plateau. So it's kind of like red rock with little plants covering it in bits. And at night, it's all just kind of shades of purple, right? Mm-hmm. It is sloping upward and goes up and up and up. And then you can vaguely see that at the top, you know, it's and it doesn't go up like big jagged peaks. It just kind of flattens off. And your limbs are bound with hempen, you know, plant rope. Mm-hmm. And any stuff you had that was not like secret has been taken and bagged in a big waterproof kind of webbing bag. Which is actually made from some sort of like decellularized lily pad. So it's like a whole bunch of lily pad skeletons, basically, mm-hmm. That have been woven together to make this really tight netting of cellulose that has your stuff in it around the shoulder of one of the Mulrooks. And they are slowly making their way, you know, toward a location and now seem to just be waiting again. So they were kind of waiting. Now they're just waiting again. Do you want to do anything when you come to? You're really only being guarded by one person who has your stuff, and the others are off to the side. And there are, in addition to the Sparkseer, there are 7 Mulrooks in this group.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was thinking about how coming back into consciousness would work. I almost imagine that states of unconsciousness for Morgul is like static on a television, you know, or like yeah. Just kind of like not nothing, like there's always some kind of activity, but you wouldn't have like sleep or REM the way that humans or you know, like carbon-based life forms from Earth tend to have. But instead, yeah, it would just kind of be this like static or like television snow kind of thing happening. And then as things kind of like come back online, let's say, I almost imagine it being like, you know how octopuses or octopi, however you prefer to say it, can sense light in like from the cells on their arms, and like some people say that they can even see in a kind of very rudimentary way. I almost imagine it kind of being like that, where it's like the world kind of like blooms mm-hmm. Back into sensation. But it's happening on like a microcellular or a nanite level as a kind of like chain reaction where it's like blooming back into perception for Svarm.
Yeah. I imagine it's like it's like in a video game when it loads, and especially there's a certain yeah. era of video games that this happened when certain features like the base architecture would load in immediately and then slowly other stuff would populate.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that, actually. I like that a lot. Yeah, one thing I did while sick is starting to play Elden Ring again because I was sad and sick, and I was like, this is something I don't have to think about. And that game is, you know, it's a next-gen game, but that game is so huge that there are models and elements that don't load right away. So you have to kind of like wait for things to materialize, but they do it in this weird ghostly way that's actually thematic to the game. It's, if there's any Elden Ring fans out there and you go to see E.G. the Smith, but he's not there right away, but then he kind of like materializes, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So specific.
I think that makes sense. And I think the chromatophore example and all the ideas from octopodes to other just forms of being. I mean, yeah, it's like even though at some point, for some reason, and the archivists debate why this is, a lot of these organisms have a humanoid body plan, and that is they assume it has to do with human meddling of some kind, or some human or diaspora. But regardless, it's sort of lost to time. And now many beings, like especially I think beings comprising nanites, wouldn't necessarily see just like with just their two eyes, because they would have these little sensors that can sense like light or color or something, and how exactly that would work we could figure out. But you slowly, the video game around you becomes very high res, and you understand that you're kind of captive, but it does seem very chill. It seems like they are more bored now. And everyone seemed more on edge when the Spark Seer was going to basically read your mind with the Hell Science. And the fact that they were unable to has sort of was kind of a null result for them. They're like, whatever. So yeah, you're not currently like getting beaten up or anything. You were clocked over the head. We can say, that I forget if you have the damage written down.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, I was going to say it just, it equals out. But yeah, whatever you wrote down is canon, clearly.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do?
I think just for a moment, Svarm is going to just kind of like try to survey the situation. They can sense or they see that only one Morok is guarding them, but maybe they want to try to sharpen some of their hearing or see if they can pick up any scraps of conversation. Sure. Again, like the language that they're speaking isn't something that Svarm knows well, but there is some spin and there is some I think techno elf machina. There's some elf machina that's been kind of like woven in just because the way language works. So I think Svarm wants to try to like get a sense of where they are, but not really make it known that they're back to consciousness or whatever equivalent they have.
Great. Why don't you roll will to perceive,
Okay.
since you're not trying to figure out anything particular that would require, specialist knowledge. This is more just feeling vibes.
Gotcha. So my will is a D12, and then I get a +2 to these rolls for some reason. I don't remember why.
Might be a hustle or a power of some kind. You might have a power. I don't know. I think it's
I think it's a power that I have. But yeah, all right, let's go for it. Cool. So I got a 9.
Great. So generally in Stillfleet, you want to get a 6 or higher. If it's not stated otherwise, you just want to get a 6 or higher. Often you're rolling against someone, but with will perceive, you're generally not rolling against someone unless there is a sneaking entity who is rolled move to establish a sneak score. So in your case, you definitely, 9 is quite high. So you perceive everything with your, extra human sensorium, and you can see that a figure is approaching, picking their way down among red rocks shaded violet by the dark, although it's not really dark because Gijou has a lot of moons. There's several small moons, which is one feature. So there's a number of reasons why on a few of these planets there's not a lot of sailing, and one issue is just if the planet has different satellites that pull tides in weird directions and cause very variable coastlines where it's like the Bay of Fundy but everywhere. It can make it harder. So it's actually not that dark, but I mean it's as dark as it gets. You're in the middle of nowhere, and you see the figure approaching is pretty short. Is wearing like a cloak that looks pretty well made. And as they approach down toward the path, the Spark Seer gets up and kind of looks at everyone else, and everyone sort of stands at attention. The one person who's not really looking is the guard on you, who does sort of stand a bit straighter, but is more concerned with making sure you don't escape. So has a sword, basically out and on near you at all times, sort of vaguely menacing. Everyone else is ready to greet the hooded figure. This comes closer and closer, is about the size of a Mulruk, maybe slighter in build. And there are some words exchanged in one of the many mutually impenetrable languages of Murklaw, and you have no idea what they're saying. It sounds basically like frog croaking, with a lot of sort of modulated, like scales, like not like a frog sound exactly, but using sort of those vocal abilities. And finally, the hood comes down, and you see before you an aging Gelasti. This is Refactor Shrashun, and she's come to meet the Mulricks. And her version of their language sounds quite different, but passing through the cavity of a giant single-celled, essentially a pink amoeba that is vaguely axolotl shaped and stands upright. But it's worked well enough, and they also exchange some of the words. They're now speaking kind of a pidgin of spin as well. And she gestures at you, and eventually they bring you forward, and basically are trying to help you stand up straight and address Shrashun. So is that what is your comportment here? Are you like sullen, eager? What's your vibe?
I think Svarm's vibe is participatory but stoic. It's like not gonna give any resistance, but just like trying to kind of keep everything on the inside, not trying to show surprise or any kind of emotional state. Just like, okay, this is happening. Okay.
Shrashun looks at you, notices, that you're alive, you're basically fine, and asks, well, what ails you? Are you feeling all right, Voidminer?
Svarm blinks slowly and says, "Thank you for your." Are they a subdirector or a
refactor? They're a high level refactor, but not a director.
Gotcha. Okay. Svarm blinks slowly. All four eyes kind of blink slowly and takes in Shrashun and says, "We appreciate your concern, Refractor. All seems well. All systems check well." It took a little bit of damage last time. I do have a quick question. Is my grit still decreased, or is that...
So that is a good question. I guess we could say, so you did not sleep and recover pool last game, right?
No.
Okay, so why don't we say, so let's back up a little and say you slept and recovered pool in the period of being knocked out between these two games. Does that make sense? Okay.
Sure, yeah.
So pool recovery is pretty simple. It's more complicated than some other rolls by Stillfleet standards, but still pretty simple, which is you roll your movement plus your will plus your level. And that is the amount of pool you recover in total. So that can be applied to grit or health, however you want. So you put it all in grit, all in health, however you want to do it. That's your pool. So you should recover at least 3, right?
Yeah, at least 3. I rolled a 12 and a 6, which is pretty good.
That is
so. That's 18.
Plus 1, your first level?
Plus 1, plus 1. So 19 total. I had 11 grit. And does this go over the total that you had from before, or is that kind of like a max?
Yeah, this is just natural sleep. So basically anything else that gives you grit or health generally, unless it says otherwise, could put you over because it's like, doing drugs, etc. But normal just sleeping and eating only refills you up to your max. So if you're at max for both, then great. I'm not sure, but you may be close.
That puts me at max for both.
Great. So you actually feel fine despite, having been bonked over the head in whatever way. You're not actually harmed too badly. So the Mulricks have not, tried to like disassemble you or chop off a limb or something.
Svarm says to the refractors, we have not been abused by our captors.
Excellent. I'm sorry that you've had to deal with this. You must excuse my sudden absence from my desk. You've probably been sent here because of me, I take it.
Indeed, we have. Your what's the word I'm looking for? Your underling was quite anxious to have you return to Spindle.
Mm-hmm. It is unfortunate that it takes the abduction or evacuation of a refactor in order to have the company reconsider its stance on Gijou. It is you may know, you have maybe are not back often, but it is a wonderful place. But now things are quite tense. Things are not well. And I would like to highlight and change that fact. In any event, we are here for a very specific reason, which will hopefully change the course of history on Gijou in a positive direction. However, I must assess your interest in my project here before we go further. So, do you have a sense of the conflict with the Mulrooks and where you stand? And she's clearly kind of testing, like what are your like political convictions about your old home planet here?
Sure, yeah. Svarm, again, trying to kind of like, keep cards to the chest a little bit, but, or to the vest, I don't remember how that saying goes, says, we were sent away from Gijou many, many years ago before the Mulrooks began to expand their territories in the south, and we've been away translating and on missions for the Co ever since. We have not heard any news recently, but tend to look upon the Mulrooks favorably as long as they are left alone and do not organize too much to create more strife.
We understand that you feel you have a neutral position in the matter, having been away from Gijou for the most part for centuries now. However, the situation is more dire than you may realize, with the company not only bringing many humans and Wytans, but many, many Harajun from their homeworld to settle on Gijou in the south and displacing many Mulrooks. And while the Pond churches have not all aligned to form one nation, there are leaders who understand the need to show strength, essentially, to show that they are willing to discuss terms and share the Keening Swale and even the South. However, not solely on the company's terms. And I will be the first to admit, in me, they have found an ally. I will bring to the company a deal and try to negotiate with them. So let me ask, is that something you would be interested in doing? Helping negotiate a better deal for the Mulrooks, let's say.
Svarm takes a moment to think about it and says, it seems that if it would avoid future conflict between the Mulrooks and the Co, then this seems like it would be a benefit to all parties involved. And if it means allowing the Mulrooks to live peacefully and for the Co to continue their business, I almost said exploitation. I'm trying to put my own personal feelings aside from the characters, which are changing, I will say. But yeah, if it allows the Co to continue their business here on the planet, but no blood has to be spilled and no mistakes of the past have to be revisited, then I could see myself supporting your cause. Yes.
And she tries to get the Mulrooks kind of excited, and there's the sparks here sort of enforces with the shake of a fist some half enthusiastic, like here, and some croaking, and they all look back to Shashun, and Shashun nods and says, "All right, it is time to tell you then how we will enforce peace. War is coming to the south from the company against the Mulrooks already. It is already here under other names. We must show that they will negotiate on equal terms, and in order to do that, they must be armed with more than, frankly, second-rate, company-stolen goods. They must have some upper hand. There is, in the Elf Crypt, a vault of nanotechnology, which is fabulous and beyond our ability to recreate. And as your people gave up technology, wiped your drives clean, whatever you did, it is beyond your kin as well, I take it, unless I am wrong, my Morgul compatriot. Therefore, we must enter the Elf Crypt. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
sorry, I was just going to say, my nanites still speak the language of Elf Machina, but it is mere whisper compared to the chorus that it once was.
Yes, exactly. You, however, understand. You can hear the whisper, just as the spark seers can use their abilities to touch the sparks in the sky, call to the stars to feel things, and just as our comrades in the Archivist and my personal interest in the afdeling of the worlds has been to work with technologists of various sorts and assess ambient nanotechnological levels and threats and whatnot. So we all come to this great game from different positions. The point is, we must find some sort of equalizing weapon or defensive system to help the Mulrooks succeed in their cause. And I believe I have found what is needed. However, it is not unguarded by the so-called away keepers of the Sapphire Elves, those who would prevent any from benefiting from their advanced technologies of the past. Why they haven't wiped them out entirely, the archive only assumes is because of the possibility of essentially future threats that equal or even overcome their own capabilities. So they want to have something on hand as a sort of backup. We would like to steal that backup. And you are now more or less obliged to help us. Or else, of course, overcome us by force. And at that point, all the Mulrooks kind of circle up around you and are all like, okay, is this person going to, like, lash out? Like, what's going on here?
Svarm says, we see... we cannot condone the proliferation of weapons on this planet, given our own civilization's torrid history. But if this will lead to peace, as you say it will, and given that we seem to have very little choice otherwise, we will assist you in this task. We will apply ourselves in whatever way you see best.
Excellent. Then we will all march up into, and then she says it perfectly, which your character, I think, would be able to say and understand.
Sure.
But whatever YYZSCH sounds like, followed by, Sichuaran. She suggests that everyone be as quiet as possible. And she describes what she has seen exploring with a cloak. You gather that she has some sort of advanced nanotech architect that is helping her travel, not like in disguise, but in a way, create like a mirrored effect. Like she's hard to see with the cloak on unless she wants to be seen.
Sure, yeah.
She's got some active camo. And so she's gone up and found, based on field reports from other operators, that she's compiled, other void miners, she's found this specific crypt of the Away Keepers in the larger, elf crypts, and who knows exactly what complexes lie buried inside the plateau and how they're connected. But she knows of basically one cave entrance into a once advanced, it's probably a piece of a Sapphire Elf city that's been repurposed as just like a vault. And it is not protected actively by Sapphire Elves necessarily, but the Away Keepers sometimes send the group of them that actively like do stuff, who are called the Doom Reapers. And so sometimes they're Doom Reapers like checking up, but usually there's no one there. The issue is that the thing that Shashun wants you to steal, she describes in very vague terms. It's basically like a plastic looking cube full of blue goo that's kind of vaguely moss-like. Also, it's kind of like a mix of like a liquid and like a jello thing and like moss. That is a bunch of nanites that are meant to sort of enter an ecosystem and fortify it. And so it would be very useful to bring to the swamps and learn how to use strategically, and would help the Mulrooks sort of like set traps or take down traps. It sort of like can animate the moss to become the swamp plants to become like kind of like giant swamp thing kind of constructs.
Cool.
So it is invaluable and advanced, and pretty dangerous, but she's also confident, and the Sparkseer on hand is confident that there is capability to like figure this out. The issue is that some of it has gotten out and animated a bunch of plants around the entrance to the cave. So as you get closer, you're gonna have to like figure out a way to like put those down or do something to them. And she describes in sort of she's now seems a little shook. So she describes kind of rapidly, but like and whispering as you're walking deeper into the hills. Kind of you'll notice just a glitter of blue, like a glint of blue out of the corner of your eye, and then a sort of protoplasmic just mass, like a wave of moss, will form a thing and kind of be upon you. So she's not sure the best way to proceed, but she asks you how you feel, given that these Mulrics are essentially highly trained, but have really only lived in a very different environment and have no particular, like special tech. They don't really have any like class powers that would help here, right. Other than obviously the Sparkseer can read minds. But the fighters are pretty good at fighting, but they're used to like fighting kind of like buried up to their eyes in the water, jumping out and stabbing dudes. They're not used to like fighting waves of nanotech like moss ghosts. So yeah. She's sort of asking for you as the most tactically advanced person on hand to like make the call, like lead the team.
So the first thing that Svarm asked for is for their equipment back, to say that if you wish for us to complete this mission, we will need to arm ourselves in case there is danger.
Oh yes. Up, and they gather everything and make sure that it's all like they have a system for making sure, it's like tagged. I think they correspond to like spots on their like flesh. They're like, okay, we have like each of the things, and give you back each item one by one. Almost all of them like touch each item, and you get the sense that this is like you're like part of the group now.
Okay. Very cool. Does there seem to be any way of like communicating thanks or anything like that they would kind of grasp?
Yeah, you can have quickly learned, thanks, like yes, no. I think those would be the words that you would have figured out. So
cool. Yeah. So Svarm croaks a thank you to the Molochs.
I think they all look like that, and one of them is like explains, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're welcome."
Yeah. Yeah. It comes out as kind of like almost like a bit crunched version of a croak. It's not. Yeah. It doesn't have the like natural timbre that would make it directly understandable to them. There's more of like there's like a bit crunchy kind of edge to it.
Yeah, you have to know what it's a symbol of before it makes any sense. But once you know it, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you have all your stuff. So you're on the side of the plateau. Between, let's say you're in an area where there's rocks on either side, you're kind of hidden. So you can take a moment to like plan before you follow this narrow path up toward this cave mouth.
So it's just from where we're sitting or where we're standing, it's just the cave mouth up this narrow path that we can kind of see. There's no, or is there any other kind of like landscape features around?
It's a good hike. So all around you, so if you've hiked like up a mountain, you can, it's sort of like there aren't trees and there are lots of lower plants of various kinds. But as you go up there, that becomes sparse in some certain areas that are there's more rocky outcroppings that are barren or covered in lichen. But yeah, pretty much throughout there's sort of reddish exposed rock covered by essentially mosses, club mosses, fern-like organisms. And the path, I mean, there's not really a path, but like clearly that's what Treshian is doing and has picked out like the best way. So you're on like you stop at like the most easy to stop at place on this sort of trail. And then after that, it's like a long hike, some of which is going to be like scrabbling, like climbing rocks. And she's pointing at like toward the top. You can't really see anything, but there's going to be like behind a rock, you can go under a ledge and then you're like in a cave complex.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like if the fighters are good at fighting, but they're really used to a different environment, more kind of like aquatic guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
I don't know how much use they would be to Svarm if there is a scrape. But so yeah, basically Svarm tells the refractor that we will make our way up to the mouth of the cave complex, and along the way we will have the Morogs basically collect these kind of like mossy coverings, things like that, so that they can kind of emulate hiding underwater, right? So they'll basically like cover themselves in mobile bushes.
Right. So bringing the trees to Dunsinane kind of a thing. They're going to get
Yes.
personal pan moss trees to hide with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it. And yeah, we'll have them wait at the mouth of the cave, basically. So they're going to be kind of a last ditch effort. If there is trouble, maybe the refractor and I can go in there alone, or I can just go in there alone. And, if there is trouble, we'll make a break for it. They'll kind of be our stopgap to kind of keep any of these potential nanite horrors from getting loose into the environment. But basically just have them kind of stand by at the mouth of the cave system.
Got it.
And Svarm asks Shroshin, do you feel safe accompanying me and being a guide throughout this labyrinth, or would you rather stay behind with your compatriots?
That is a good question. I am old, and I am a desk jockey, or whatever term she would use. However, why don't I accompany you hidden by my mirror cloak, and should the need arise, I can at least be another set of hands or distraction so that we get the system, as we'll call it, the Vitalist system. It is technically a system of the concretized philosophy. It was a material way of being in the world called Eliminimilum, which is Sapphire Vitalism. So it is technically the Eliminimilum system, and I'm very happy to be the one to carry it, or to provide a distraction while you carry it out. But I will hang back. I am really of no use in a scuffle, certainly with a dangerous xenofauna, effectively. Xenoflora, I should say.
Okay, so in that case, Svarm puts one of their hands out and says, I believe that you should stay here with the mole rocks. It would be helpful to have an extra set of hands, but at the same time, I do not want you getting hurt. You are a refractor with the Co. You are my superior, and I will take it upon myself as a Razi in order to explore this crypt. However, may I borrow your mirror cloak in order to aid me in my mission?
Yes, that is wise and fair. It is a little small, perhaps, for you, but perhaps you can stretch it. And she takes it off, and now she is cold. She's in like a tactical, like a black cloth vest, and like puffy black pants and boots. And she's a little cold, but she gives you the cloak. The cloak is very light and very soft and impossible to rip. Like you could pull on it all day, and it sort of stretches a little and just becomes like chainmail. So it is some advanced material, and when you put it on, let me pull up some sort of description of what it does. I also think I misspoke. This is not a mirror cloak, because that is a different thing in the game that does a different thing. This is is a thing that blurs you. The mirror cloak makes copies of you. That is. This is a cool thing, but it just makes you much sneakier. So why don't we call it a shimmer cloak? That sounds cool, right? What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds great. This is. It reminds me of Annihilation.
Oh, good. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love the shimmer. Love a good shimmer. And this is exactly the problem. The reason to buy the game that Grant Howard pointed out is there are several varieties of magic sword, meaning that we have like hundreds of like science fictional architect in the game. So I forget sometimes shit I've already made up. So while you have it on, so let me just make a call here. It costs 5 grit per day to power. So as soon as you put it fully on and you like accept, like maybe you feel a kind of tug at your wrists and maybe at your neck, but since you're not human, maybe it's, different, just sort of all over diffuse. You feel like it's like asking permission, like terms and conditions, like click yes or no. So if you click yes, you just lose 5 grit, and that lowers your maximum until you take it off, and then you can rest and regain up to your normal maximum. So it's just like you're setting it aside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll accept terms and conditions. We don't need to read the full thing because no one ever does.
Okay. And so the Shimmer Cloak is different from some of the other named, the Witch Suit, Quick Suit, and Mirror Cloak. In that the Shimmer Cloak, it does not give you damage reduction. Again, and maybe it should against minor things, but it essentially could be shot through, with a bullet. But it gives you advantage on dodge checks and sneak checks when you're wearing it, because it just blends you in. It's just active camo. So the nanites just make you look like you're part of the environment. So as long as you're wearing it, you have that lowered grit, but you actually have advantage on 2 very useful rolls here.
Very cool.
And yeah, you look like you just look shimmery. Yeah. You're just blurred into the background immediately.
I like it. Yeah, I really do imagine like in Annihilation. I mean, I don't love the movie. I actually just had a long conversation with a friend about this the other day. But the visual that they gave the shimmer, where it's this kind of like oil slick iridescence.
Yeah.
Kind of melting the air around it. That's kind of how I imagine it, as this like iridescent, like a fly's body kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think it would work really well outdoors at night. Like it's meant to be also if you're not moving, because it sort of blurs you, like photoshops you into the environment. But as you move, it has to like redo it. So I think it makes sense that like it would work less well in a boardroom or like while jogging. But if you're kind of like slowly creeping around at night, but from rock to rock or whatever, it's kind of blurring you in. So you just you look like more rock or whatever it is. So the edges eventually someone could pick out, but they'd kind of have to know to look for it, if that makes sense.
I like the idea of it photoshopping you into the environment, like a bad heal tool application in Photoshop, where you're just kind of like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's like a constant bad Photoshop filter, but it would be very useful if this device existed. In actual whatever military maneuvers. So you are now. So she has. She's also like she's gonna have to sleep to regain that grit. So she's like a little tired and cold. She goes back to the Mulrix and wishes you the best. It says something in spin like, "May all of your short-term profit sheets be balanced," or whatever, whatever. It says something common and normal to say, and then disappears. So you're kind of alone on the side of this plateau, shimmering, and roughly where to go. You don't know exactly, but she's described it pretty well, and she has pointed out there's effectively a path straight up if you just are able to, at some points, haul yourself up 5 feet or whatever up a cliff face. So none of it's like super hard. It's just steeper and steeper without ever becoming like a sheer, rock wall.
Gotcha. Svarm's gonna start making the trek up and start heading towards the mouth of the cave.
So I want you to roll a few things for me, if you don't mind. Could you roll a movement check, which is, so you won't get advantage on this as far as I know, which is just to climb. This is how well do you climb. This is a 5+, just don't get 1 through 4, and you climbed okay, and you're fine going up the side of Yizich Sichwaran.
Gotcha. Oh, dropped my dice. All right, and I do get a -1 to this for the armor that I'm wearing, which is a bend hauberk.
Yeah, pretty stiff.
So I rolled a 6 -1. That would be 5.
Okay, 5. So you're not like the best climber, but you make it up the sides of the plateau as it steepens, and you are more or less at this cave. You can kind of see what she means. There's like a weird rock ledge and then like another hole, like moonlight filtering in. So there's like 10 foot of slab, and if you crawl under it, it goes down actually, and you're kind of on top of the plateau, but in a kind of a depressed area. And you can see you could climb up over some small boulders onto sort of the real top, at least of the first part of the plateau, then maybe goes up some more. But if you don't do that, you can kind of see, as she said, to look kind of to the right, and there's like a little hole in the rocks where it looks like at first it's just kind of space, toward the back where there's not a rock there, but actually it just keeps going, and you can kind of climb through that, and you'll be in a cave. So you're fine. You're ready to do that whenever you want. Could you also roll if you're trying to sneak, a movement check to sneak, and you would have advantage here because you're wearing the cloak.
Yes.
And anything else you want to do? Sorry.
Yeah, I would say, Svarm is going to try to move up to the mouth of the cave, probably underneath the kind of rock ledge. But yeah, trying to kind of move slowly, trying to be sneaky just in case there are any of these, kind of moss constructs around this close to the surface. So yeah, we'll do movement and advantage. Whoop. And advantage is you roll twice, take the higher. Is that right? In this one?
Yeah. We just use sort of the common version of that.
Cool. So yeah, got 11 for that.
Great. Okay, so you are very hard to spot. So with that, could you roll a d6 to determine what else is around? So you're sneaking, we'll just say sort of by default, after you've kind of climbed up to this ledge. But yeah, let's see what else is up here.
I rolled a 4.
Okay, so you don't first see anything. It seems like you're alone. And then I think as you sneakily, very stealthily move underneath the ledge, and you're onto the plateau proper in this depression, there's a bunch of rocks in front of you, and off to the side there's kind of a hole in the rubble, and you can see, to climb through it. You might see a glimmer of blue, just like, I don't know, barely visible. If you look up, at the top of the plateau proper, so you're sort of below, and if you look up in the distance, there's something, in front of you. It's not like coming at you. It's just a glint of blue moving past, and maybe between, a couple low clumps of sort of moss-like shrub. So, there's something out there. It doesn't seem big enough, or the shape of a humanoid. It looks more like a curl of just like light.
Interesting. Yeah, so I think Svarm would kind of assume that these are just some stray cloud of nanites or something like that off in the distance. So they're going to, again, perception with a cloud of nanites is an interesting question, but I think we'll kind of try to stick as much to the shadows as possible and kind of try to skirt around wherever they see this blue glow in order to move further into the cave system.
Great. So you can just kind of go forward off to the side and try to crawl through this aperture, and then you're in a larger cave that has over time been blocked off by some boulders, other than, Shashun found, this sort of hole in. And yeah, you don't have to roll, you do that, you're in. Whatever that was up there doesn't notice anything. So inside, it's a roughly human-sized, it's built for sapphire owls, but you're a human-sized tunnel that at first appears natural, and you realize maybe at one point wasn't natural. So it's sort of like standing in like a train or subway like tunnel, and it's been incorporated with the natural environment for hundreds of years. Stuff has moved or whatever, so that it sort of seems like it's just a hole in the ground, and you realize it was probably like carved a certain way. So it's somewhat arched. Sure. It's smoothed over, but it's just you're picking up where it probably went somewhere else and had some sort of entrance and whatever, and all that's gone. So now you're in like a walkable tunnel that's pretty cleared. And the walls, if you look, are stone, but they've been kind of grown. The nanites have, were used to sort of grow them, and they actually have a kind of pattern from that process that's left over. So it's, at first, again, it almost looks like a natural sort of like limestone or whatever, kind of smooth feel, but you see it's almost like been milled, like it has little, almost like you see on curtains or something, like a little like doily pattern or something from the nanites.
Yeah.
And you might be familiar. This might feel like weird memories, crossed memories in your brain of ancient times, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And this hallway just continues on for a while into the darkness. And you would know, according to Sapphire Elf architecture, I mean, it's going to all kind of be curvy and fluid. So it's curving kind of to the right, and it's curving somewhat down. And as you progress, you will notice, before anything happens to you, there is a mild blue glow ahead of you in the darkness.
Okay, and it's just this one kind of large tunnel that I'm in right now. There's no branching pathways or any. Are there any features that could be used as like? Is there any like furniture, stalactites, or anything like that that's kind of around? Or it's just a big open space.
You're just in this entrance tunnel, hallway. Between points in whatever network that was urban, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and very different. And yeah, there is a glowing, and I guess you could also see around the same point that would be at a branching. So there's a path that continues more sort of straight to the left and off to the right. It sort of curves more, more severely to the right and goes down more.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, I mean, Svarm will just continue along the path, I think, kind of hugging the wall as it branches to the right. Maybe they're on the right wall so that they can kind of like try to peek around as it curves, just to kind of keep their heads on a swivel. But yeah, they'll just kind of slowly, as quietly as possible, continue forward down this curving hallway.
Okay. Then you are going toward the glowing. So it is coming from that right-hand path. It is now more evident that is the case. And you are also going toward a large circular room with a sort of domed ceiling. And the question is, does anyone see you? So you got an 11 to sneak, which is extremely high. So you'd be pretty confident that you are pretty much invisible.
Yeah.
However, you would also know that Doom Reapers are quite vigilant. I mean, that's kind of their thing, is like spotting stuff. So before you do anything else, as you see that there's like a big room up ahead, and there's definitely that's the source of the glow. Do you want to do anything in particular?
I guess, before coming into the room, so again, it's just this big open hallway, and then it leads into this circular kind of chamber.
Yeah, if you're going right, then you're going toward the light and toward a big chamber.
Okay. Is there an option to go left at that? Is it like a T intersection away from
It's like a Y. Yeah. Sorry. So if you're going not toward the light and you go left, that is different. So which way are you going in real time as you explore?
Gotcha. I think, yeah, I mean, whatever, fuck it. I think Svarm would still continue going towards the glow because, we're looking for the system. So I think the assumption would be that where the glow is probably, if there's a concentration of these nanites anywhere, it's probably coming out of the system itself. So yeah, I think Svarm is going to, as the glow gets more intense at kind of the portal between the hallway and the circular chamber, will maybe kind of try to like duck down, make themselves as small as possible. And I'm trying to see if I've got any. Yeah, I think just kind of duck down, try to make themselves as small as possible. I'm thinking about defusing.
So there'd be two of you to act.
It'd be two to act, yeah. But maybe before making that call, just kind of like try to stay out of sight, but just like look into the chamber to get a sense of what's actually going on in there instead of just going in blind.
Okay, so you're gonna try to approach and look without being seen into the larger chamber and get a lay of the land. We'll say that. Excuse me. Your sneak check of 11 holds. So I'm gonna just roll to see one thing. That is a skunk roll. Okay, that's great. You see in the chamber, what looks like that is also skunk. You see a large frozen wave of blue material, which is hard to describe because it looks like water, like a rain shower, not like a wave per se, but like water that is suspended. And through it is also a sort of crystalline, sort of Chihuli light display thing happening that is also full of plants of different kinds. So it's not really moss in the sense of like one thing of sphagnum or Spanish moss. It's like an ecosystem that has this sort of armature, and it is curled around something that you can't really see because it's blocking. It's pretty big. It's like 12 feet tall and 12 feet wide. And you get the sense that it has its back to you, that nothing really sees you. It is kind of glowing. It's glowing from the front, so that you're seeing kind of the dark part of it. And there's something glowing brighter that it is kind of around. And then the rest of the room there's alcoves. So there's kind of oval alcoves set in the walls all around. And in many of these, there's just nothing anymore. But in some of them, you see essentially sapphire elf statuary, which would look really weird. So it'd be like these twisted kind of Giacometti, like kind of blue figures in the dark, some of whom would be holding different things that look kind of like some sort of technological, I don't know, eggplants or grenades, or in some cases just like a bunch of wires. It's sort of unclear. And a few of them would have like boxes, like display case kind of things that again are empty. So you don't know what here has been pillaged or repurposed. But this is some sort of vault with relics from hundreds of years ago, before the twinning and the flight of the Morgul. And you've caught, there's something here that is alive, but it is not sensing you whatsoever.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay, so it's backlit. There's a more intense glow coming from somewhere that I can't see on the other side of it.
Yeah.
What do I want to do?
It's a pretty big room. So you're at the entrance and you can see it's this big round, right room. And that's the way is this pretty large thing that is alive, and there's something glowing more brightly beyond it. So it this is really your move, and that it is just it's a very calm alien kind of moment, even for you, with some recollection of some of the symbolism, but it feels this is like a weird vibe.
Yeah, so I think that Svarm is going to slowly enter into the chamber behind this construct or this thing's back, and just as quietly as possible try to scout out what it's facing. Maybe even like going around the kind of like circumference of the chamber and ducking into one of the empty alcoves just to like try to be as much in shadow as possible. But yeah, trying to see what it's facing to see if that is the system that's in this room or not. Okay.
As you climb around, you're still sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
And let it again to see you because you're getting a lot closer this way as opposed to just like looking through the door. But it failed really bad, so it's pretty wrapped. So I'm gonna give it. It rolled a 1 on the previous perceive check, so it's rolling against you. But I'm gonna actually give it disadvantage because it's very unlikely it would get. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It does not see you. So you are able to. So I'll say you're at one of the alcoves. Maybe you're going alcove to alcove. You're sort of parallel with it, and you're much closer now, but you're still 20 feet away, sort of hidden into the wall.
Yeah. I imagine just like as flat into the alcove as possible, trying to maybe look like one of the statues even.
Right. Like it would be cartoonish, except with this weird kind of nanite photoshopping, it's less cartoonish, right? It's effective. So this thing does not notice you. It is a massive sort of wave. It's vaguely again this palm-shaped wave, but it is more like rain or mist impregnated by this forest. Mm-hmm. And it is glowing slightly on its front, kind of periodically, rippling throughout. Just little spots of light, little dust of blue here and there, light. Mm-hmm. And it is around a skeletal, the sort of skeleton of the top half of a sapphire elf with the head set on a sort of wedding cake shaped structure of white and blue sort of crystal that is kind of clutching a cubic clear aquarium thing full of blue goo, and it is moving its sort of mouth, which the sapphire elves have these kind of mask-like faces, these very expressionistic masks that don't imply nasality or anything, but they do imply like eyes and like a mouth part. Mm-hmm. And the mouth part is like some sort of slit with like lights, and the lights are like doing a complicated thing. Like it is speaking in Elf Machina. It is like chanting, and it has not one or two, but it has 4 little arms that are all sort of almost like made of twigs of blue. It looks like this thing is basically the torso and head of a sapphire elf, with the other parts kind of like stuck on like a snowman. Yeah. But sort of functional, and the little servo arms are slowly like playing with the blue putty, this protoplasmic ecosystem scale, infrastructure nanite goo, and it is very, very slowly, ritually like painting symbols onto this wave-like thing in front of it. And you see as it does, the wave-like thing pulses more sort of alive.
Whoa, dang, that's very creepy. Cool. Well, yeah, I think Svarm recognizes their target for this mission, and okay, so yeah, it's two different entities, right? Okay, so just being brash, just to move things along. I think what Svarm is going to do is slowly unholster their long caliber pistol from their side and aim it at one of the alcoves, one of the statues in one of the alcoves that's kind of on the opposite side of the room, as far away from where they currently are as possible.
Got it.
And I'm actually going to use Perfect Shot, which is one of my class powers, in order to shoot the head off of one of those statues, or whatever equivalent to a head that the statue has. Just trying to basically make a loud noise, trying to distract both of the entities that are in this room to see what will happen. See if the big thing will move, see what'll go on if we make some noise. So yeah, the Svarm's going to try to make a distraction by shooting.
Excellent. If you want, so I'll give you an option here, because if you use technically a Perfect Shot, you're making a called shot, which in Stillfleet you roll at disadvantage and it costs 4 grit. But if you hit, you inflict a double damage.
Oh, okay.
And you can disarm an opponent or cause some other effect like that, blindness, etc.
Gotcha.
And Perfect Shot is like a way better version of Called Shot, but you still basically are doing Called Shot. If you just want to make a distraction, I would just say roll to hit normally, unless you want it to have that mechanical effect of like part of the statue like momentarily blinds one of them or falls in a very specific way. Do you know what I mean? Like changing the field of battle, if that makes sense.
I think this is just a distraction, so we'll just roll to hit.
Cool.
Okay.
So I'll just say this is a 6 or higher. Like you're shooting a statue, so it's not hard, except there's stuff in the way and it's dark and all that.
Gotcha.
You have your large caliber, your Magnum or whatever you unholster.
And I'm rolling combat for this.
So yeah, this is combat / attack. So this is basically the only check, or that and grapple are the 2 checks combat is used for. You're either hurting something or trying to kind of restrain it physically from acting.
Gotcha. Okay. That was not a good roll. I rolled a 2.
Okay, so, so I think what happens is since you're firing kind of past them, I think there's a chance you hit them. Is really the only other thing here that matters. So I'm going to have them roll. So basically, this is what happens: you're trying to shoot past the big wave thing, and I think it moves a little. I don't think it necessarily sees you. I think it's the glyph that was painted on, the sort of long circuit glyph by the ex-Sapphire Elf thing, the creator, caused it to kind of wriggle, and you thought it was done kind of wriggling. And then it has another spasm of like coming to lifeness, and it sort of moves its left side, sort of flaps over, and you shoot right through it. So you aimed the shot up okay, but then ended up hitting this thing. So I would say roll damage, because this may matter a little bit.
My timing was off. Okay, so 8 points of damage.
Okay. Then I would say roll initiative, because this is a movement check. They are now, so the thing wheels on you and is rushing toward you, and it moves in a very weird way where it kind of falls forward, and then like more of it moves up and through. So it's sort of cytoplasmic. It's like a wave going back and forth within it that's rushing it forward.
Creepy.
And the thing on the wedding cake crystal pod chair thing just kind of spins a little, like it doesn't have a full range of motion, but to look at you. And it is still chanting in Elf Machina something.
Is it possible to understand it?
Yeah. Why don't you make a reason check just as a free action as this is all happening, for like, what the hell is that guy saying?
And as a note, I did roll my movement for initiative, and I got a 7.
Okay. You'll act first. This Moss Tyrant is what we'll call it. Also got a 7, but we'll say you go. Okay. You win that one.
Cool. And then for reason, I got an 8.
Great. So yes, you can understand what it's saying. It is chanting over and over again, essentially like a prayer, like in a religious tradition where you chant some a mantra to help kind of focus. So it is chanting a version of essentially the word Illumin, which means the vitalism that the Nanites give to the world, that we have given to the world, right? That the Sapphire Elves have impregnated the world with, and it also means, it implies kind of beauty and oneness, and that all things are created, and that nothing can really die, because even if you die, all of the Nanites that make up you just go back into the sea of Nanites that helps the world be very healthy and full of this very healthy biosphere and healthy air and water, all mediated by the Sapphire Elves. And it is sort of like why the twinning occurred, and maybe a lot of this floods back into user memory, is like that was one of there were really 2 big philosophies at the end, and a lot of people thought that it was gone too far in kind of controlling things technologically, and the other was this kind of nihilism or urge to destroy. And the idea of the twinning was to sort of bring together people of opposite views. So sort of like forcing centrism by like literally merging consciousnesses and bodies. So this being seems to be like a holdover from the era when like there were people who just only believed in one or the other, and didn't sort of see it as a dualism that went together.
Yeah.
And yeah, they are just chanting a mantra. This Sapphire Elf seems, it is not clear how much they would be able to like have a conversation or like do stuff other than drag themselves around and like hit buttons effectively with nanites, if that makes sense.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, a part of Svarm deeply respects this Sapphire Elf holdover, and then another part of Svarm is disgusted by them as a part of that active dualism.
Yeah, and it's this is also like such a MacGuffin about like where it's like not a real world religion or political philosophy of any kind. Right. This is like weird alien stuff, and you can read into it really like whatever you want. You can help define canon here. The Moss Tyrant is coming at you. It's a big old wall. You act a split second before it is able to reach you. What do you want to do?
Geez, I mean, it's a big old wall. I don't know how much I can do.
I mean, mechanically, it has health and grit, and you can you've heard it already. So you've you've blown a hole in it, for example. So it's big, but it's not it's not indestructible. It seems to you. Yeah.
Let's see. I think, Svarm is just going to try to kind of like hop, skip, and jump past it. I know it's like coming at us, but if there's a way to kind of just like juke and get around it, and make a beeline for the Sapphire Elf with the system.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Roll movement, and I don't think you'd have at this point advantage because it knows that you're there. But certainly, you're pretty fast. So this is a straight up juke it out, get around it, so you are able to act on the other side of it, do whatever to the Sapphire Elf. That makes sense.
Okay. Oh wow, cool. So I got a 7 again. I rolled an 8, but I have -1, so...
It got a 4. So it is, it's surprisingly, like, nimble in that it's not a human, right? It's like a wall of liquid that can stop. So it's, like, reformed a bunch of it quickly to grab you, but not nearly fast enough. I mean, you're extremely fast, so...
Wow.
So what is it, are you trying to do something this round in terms of, if this is a movement... Mm-hmm. What were you trying to do at the Sapphire Elf? Were you trying to like bum rush or grab or like snatch the thing out of its two little hands?
Yeah, I think just trying to snatch the system out of its little teeny tiny hands, if at all possible.
Great. Roll combat to grapple to grab the thing out of its. It does not want to let go, basically.
Gotcha. Oh, I rolled a 1.
It only rolled a 2, but I think what that means is it has it still has control of it, and it has sloshed a bunch of active ecosystem scale nanites on you.
Oh, man.
And the cloak, I will say, the Shimmer Cloak is, if not ruined, it is temporarily inoperable because it is now alive in like a... So in the middle of this very dangerous moment, like the Moss Tyrant could like, it's like a car falling on you over and over again.
Yeah.
There's almost like a weird Beauty and the Beast moment where like, it's kind of like your clothes become this like kimono like robe, tactical robe becomes kind of like a butterfly of blue light and is kind of like coming off you and just flapping around. And it's sort of beautiful and you have wings, but it also is very distracting. So you're in a tug of war with this little thing and it looks up at you and it's like in digital speech. The Moss Tyrant turns and just crashes down on you both.
Oh my god.
All right, this is where the big dice come out. You have to roll. So it got a 13 to attack you. So to avoid the damage, you have to get a 14 or higher on a dodge check, or you would have to use a free action that is some kind of special power. Otherwise, it is just like a car made of glass and moss and water has just like slammed into both of you and the Sapphire Elf.
Oh my god, this is going swimmingly. So I need a 14 or higher on a dodge. I mean, the highest I can roll is an 8, and then I would have to burn 6 grit in order to hit a 14.
Yeah, that is so. You can do the math there. It's up to you, but.
Doesn't seem likely. I'm trying to see. So, like, none of my class powers could really help me out right now. I guess my question would be: would it be possible for me to defuse and like shoot out with enough time, or is that like completely? I mean, I imagine defusing actually takes some amount. It's not just like an instantaneous, decoupling kind of thing.
Yeah, I have the book open. I believe it is a standard action, which means that would be like your action for the round, right? It's not free, meaning it's effectively instant. The idea being a free action is something that would only take 1 second, and a standard action would take at least, it's like 10 seconds.
Right.
But that is defuse and refuse are both standard, so that means that it takes long enough. It's very fast, but in you can still do it in combat, but it would be your action because you're like your body's ripping apart, right?
So I guess I'm just like trying to go over all my options to potentially survive or do something. I'm gonna look. I have another species power called Burning Touch, I believe.
Yeah, that would also be that's essentially an attack. That's if you grab someone and you want to do damage. For example, like you could have like electrocuted basically the Sapphire Elf as you grabbed stuff from him, but
that's what I should have done.
They still, I mean, you might have like fried them, and they still were like holding on to this box. So I'm not sure with this series of rolls, without re-rolling the last round, how that would have made a huge difference there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the only thing that we can try to do is to try to dodge this. There's really it's either that or just like get crushed. So yeah, whatever. Let's go for it. We'll try to dodge. So I do have to burn grit in order to do that, right? Yes.
You know what? And I'll give you advantage, even though it's the last bit, because I said that the schmutz was spilled and the shimmer cloak is kind of coming alive. We'll say that it is lifting you up, and it gives you advantage this one last time mechanically before it is broken until repaired.
Great.
Nice. And just basically butterfly wing rave kind of clothes. So you burn. I guess if you burn the grit, then you're rolling twice and hoping one of them you get the best result. Right? That's the only way this can happen.
That's pretty much what we're doing here. Yeah. So wait, I would need to burn 6 grit off the bat, or.
I guess if you're right, you got to get a 14. So
yeah, okay, yeah. So we'll burn 6 grit off the bat. I'm down to 11 grit. Cool. Yeah. I rolled a 6.
Okay. Are you want to roll again because you have the cloak?
Oh right, I have advantage. Yeah. I got another 6, so 2 6s in a row there. Okay. Not quite enough.
All right. How much health does Sparm have?
14.
Okay. You take so that was not the biggest roll by the Moss Tyrant. You take 8 damage.
Oh.
As it crashes into you. So definitely not necessarily feeling great. However, now the problem is it is kind of on top of you. You're in the thick of it. It is also hurt, severely wounded the sort of barely alive, Sapphire Elf artist. And the artist is also now going to be involved in this initiative on 4. Okay. All right, so it's your initiative. You're in melee with the Moss Tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
It is both confused. I will say it like rears back up, so it kind of flattens you, and you can describe how that like hurts, like smashes you on the ground. And it also smashes the artist. The artist loses control, and so the thing tips over, but the stuff doesn't spill out. It just kind of like moves around weirdly, and there's now this plastic box with the one side, the top off, on the ground on its side, and the blue stuff is not spilled out. It is just kind of like assumed a weird bean shape. And it is between you and the artist, and the Moss Tyrant is on top of you, rearing up to like slam down again.
Oh my god. Wow.
You can, as a free action, or you can speak, like you understand, you can talk to these things in a form of language you will understand. It's going to be weird. It's like speaking to like a really, a zealot, right? Someone who has like extreme beliefs, but like you can speak to them.
Yeah.
And you could think about, non-combat, like trying to basically get out of this mess by not having to kill this thing. Although you can also try to kill it. It is just like a big construct that has a lot of health, basically.
Well, so I'm actually I was going to ask if I could use the species power tap right in. We did this last time with the fern squirrel thing.
Right.
Fern squirrely. I assume that this thing does, it's direct nanites. It probably has some form of elf machina that it's using to not reason, but to like animate itself. I'm wondering if there's some way that I can like combine tap right in with my class power tame in order to gain control of this thing.
That's a really interesting one. Tap right in is a standard action, so that would be, I think, 8 grit in this case. So 3 + 5 would be 8. And you can use things you can't even understand. So I think then you would be like speaking to the Moss Tyrant as architect, but I don't think you would have control of it. I think you would be like in its wild like brain, quote unquote. And then I think you could use tame, but that would basically be the next round. So this would be like a 2-round combo of like trying to like kind of make sense of what it's like to be a sort of animate wave of this mossy ecosystem that is, you don't know what instructions, if any, it's been given, but it clearly is reacting to your presence as some sort of threat.
Right. Hey.
But I'll give you, if you do tap right in, I guess I would give you a free action to at least, try to understand it or communicate with. Yeah, like if you wanted to try to calm it down, I mean, if that's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal.
So, tame would be another like, Tame's another round, because that's a power with,
Gotcha. Yeah, let's go for
mechanism.
It. Let's do it. Svarm is not feeling very hopeful right now, but we'll see. So Svarm is going to activate tap right in. I guess kind of like reaching out, maybe like even sending out like kind of like venom or something, sending out like ropes of nanites in order to kind of like fuse with the body of the Moss Tyrant.
That's great. Yeah, so you become you're like partially in it and it's partially in you, right? You're exchanging that kind of nanite cytoplasm that's brought this like weird chunk of the forest into its existence as like a beast, essentially.
Yeah, because Svarm doesn't want to kill this thing. It doesn't want to like really harm it, because like, I think that Svarm sees themselves a little bit, as a nanite construct themselves. Like they kind of see their own history. They see some kind of, or they have some kind of like sympathy or empathy with this thing,
Roll charm. I think this is as a free action. You are now speaking with the Moss Tyrant. You can't just control it really, but you can talk to it in the way that like, if you met like a wild dog, you could be like, okay, hey, what's up, friend? Like, smell my hand. Please don't bite me. You could use certain steps to like, not scare it or annoy it or whatever. De-escalate.
Oh, I got a 6.
6. Okay.
Which is the highest I can roll on charm.
It has a D20 will, because it is a creature of sort of plants made, not sapient, but plants made powerful, right? By nanites that themselves are not a system that is sapient. It is a dumb beast, right? But it is very self-possessed and has a sense of itself and the rest of the forest. However, it rolled a 3.
Wow.
So that is why the system, sometimes you get big swings and sometimes you get big misses, even with those dice.
Oh my God.
It just kind of like, I think, because it's acting like right behind you, so this is like happening simultaneously. You like kind of enter it and you're like, calm down, please calm down, or whatever.
Bleep bloop bleep bloop blop,
bleep bloop bleep bloop bloop. Bleep bloop hearts, and it's like curling down to like, it's got these kind of claw tips and it just stops. It's like it's kind of curled around your head and maybe even like kind of moves your head down, but now it's just like a weird giant hand, or like a huge fern leaf kind of just down your back. And you're kind of inside it, kind of hugging it out, or...
Yeah, I was going to say Svarm reaches their arms out and just gives it a hug. And like some like, it's like when you're hanging out with like a really big dog and you can just kind of like give it those like nice pats, those voracious pats. It's kind of like one of those, It's like...
Yeah. Bwah, bwah, bwah. Good dog. Yeah.
Good dog.
It is just, yeah, it is no longer, it sees you as like you said, it sees you as another thing that, like, okay, is supposed to be here, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So it does not think of you as a threat. The Sapphire Elf, on the other hand, is crawling toward the box, the aluminum system, and trying to kind of, it is now on the floor. They are lateral, and they're crawling with their forearms, trying to kind of get it and right it. And they're just, chanting over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem, there's a tone, there's like a subtone to the cadence, the rhythm of their chant that is almost like happy, like, yes, this is correct. It's working. Like we're, I'm bringing the forest without inside, and I'm bringing the nanites inside without, is kind of the subtext of essentially the same word that it's saying, different ways. So it is very happy that you've finally like come. What do you want to do now? And this is I think a key, like, we don't have to be an initiative, but we could be. What do what's your move?
I think with this construct kind of calm down, we're gonna retreat our nanite ropes out of it, and maybe, I don't know if this needs to be an initiative or not, but before the Sapphire Elf can get to the system, we're gonna try to, like, I'm assuming it's like crawling on its little twig arms, so we're just gonna kind of like walk over and pick up the system and try to contain it as much as possible, and then I guess we'll see how the Sapphire Elf reacts to this. But I'm almost imagining like a deep thankful bow, kind of like a, or maybe I'll say aluminum, just to like try to get it to kind of see that we're on the same page,
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is saying the same thing in a way that's very like not just happy, but like hopeful, like finally, and it reaches out. It essentially reaches out as you're taking the box, the system. It's reaching out to like touch you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you let it touch you? Do you want to roll will to perceive like what's going on?
Yeah, I think I would like to roll will to perceive what's happening with that touch. I don't know if I trust that touch. Okay, 9.
Okay, yeah, you should definitely not let it touch you. It is nuts. I mean, it is very happy. It is like both earnestly happy you're like taking the system away from it, and it is going to try to use one of its powers here to basically electrocute you, and it would maybe kill you with the amount of damage here too. So,
wow,
it's like, give me a high five.
Sparm senses or maybe like even like perceives like little crackles of energy,
of electromagnetic
like that.
Energy,
while holding the system and trying to keep it as contained as possible, just kind of like jumps back out of reach of the little Frosty the Snowman arms that the Sapphire Elf has.
So these little blue, like there's some, it's all electrically conductive to some degree. And it, you see this like arc of electricity, and it just misses you, and it's like, oh dang, goodbye. Like it can't really, it knows it can't like get to you in time, so it's still crawling toward you, but you could just sort of step back. You have the box. It's very weirdly like holding a box full of jello, but even if you turn it upside down, it wouldn't like fall out. It would just like change shape a little, like sag toward whatever direction.
It's like a Frosty from Dairy Queen or
yeah, this is actually an ad for Dairy Queen. DQ, eat fresh. Right?
Hey, eat fresh.
That's
eat
Subway.
Fresh.
Yeah, whatever
Subway.
it is. But yeah, so it is very odd, and it's nice and satisfying. The Moss Tyrant like turns, and I think isn't sure, like in the way an animal is like, like once you pet a cat, they're kind of like, you're not going to feed me, okay, fuck off, and just kind of wanders. So it's sort of like sludge, falls to one side, and it's just kind of moving through the room, and you get the sense it's gonna, in the way animals kind of circle, spiral around, it's gonna like inspect its territory now that it's fully formed. So you are effectively alone. I mean, you're not alone, but you could just walk away from these things. So you tell me, do you want to sort of wrap this up, or?
I mean, there's a part of me that's kind of like, I want the Moss Tyrant to be my
Like your pet?
My pet, yeah.
That might be a stretch, but yeah, okay.
Do you think I could now try tame on it? Because it would be really badass to ride the Moss Tyrant out
that would be awesome.
of the cave.
Yeah, that'd be a great end credit movie. Like cue, like the big song that the producer sprung for. Like, what is the song that plays as you ride the Moss Tyrant out of the Elf Crypt cave?
Oh man, what is the song? That's a great question. A couple come to mind. One is Danger Zone.
Yeah.
Another
that's a classic.
is... Well, I don't know why they're all 80s. It's all 80s themed to me right now, but probably because I've been watching a lot of 80s horror movies.
Yeah.
But what's the song from Wet Hot American Summer where it's like, into the fever, into the fire.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Higher and higher. Like that kind of...
That's such a weird vibe for the, at night on Gijou, you emerge from the cave.
Yeah!
So Tame would cost 10 grit and take 3d4 hours, and that is assuming that you can tame this kind of thing, which for the lulz I'll allow. But 3d4 hours, so there would be a montage of like you try to lead it away from the ex Sapphire Elf and out into the night. And kind of work with it outside where it can really, it's part of the ecosystem that it's meant to protect, basically.
Yeah. Let's go for it. I'll spend the 10 grit.
Okay.
I have one grit left.
Great. Then the last random encounter roll will be really, really awesome as Dawn falls on Gijou. But yeah, roll 3d4 to see how long this takes. That actually matters to some degree.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let me grab a d4 out of here.
In terms of how we'll interpret this here encounter check in the...
Okay, 3d4.
Yeah.
It's going to take 4 hours.
Great. Okay. So we'll just do a standard. So roll a d6, and for the same, you're in the same environment basically. Are you found by the Doom Reapers or not?
I rolled a 2.
Okay, so...
Oh, shit.
Roll will to perceive.
Oh, man. I got a 10.
Okay. You see, as you're playing with the Moss Tyrant, which you're getting more of a sense of over time, which is both like a plant, and that a lot of the time what it wants is like proximity to a source of humidity, or... I don't know, like it does things that are uninteresting and basically means it's just kind of standing there, or like sagging down, and it's just like a weird, I don't know, like puddle of crap. And sometimes like a big old dog, like you said, like sometimes it's a little more active, and there's some reason why, something about the system, a bunch of trillions of nanorobots like click into place in a way where it has all this kinetic energy it wants to like spend or whatever. So it gets the zoomies basically. So we'll say you just had some sort of training bit with this wall, this 12 by 12 wall of like, by turns, sort of water-like or moss-like, and by turns like very steely hard, or crystalline hard, I should say, kind of creature. And it is now kind of sagged out and just like not doing much. It looks like a fence, a weird fence. Behind you on the plateau, you're at the edge, looking down. Behind you... also, that it's been hours, and the refactor is like, where is this guy? Right? But, okay. Behind you are lights in the distance. There's 2 lights bobbing toward you, and they're approaching very rapidly, and they do not look bestial. They do not look like random shapes. They look humanoid. So you would see just like sort of the running lights glinting off of 2 humanoid bluish sort of skeletons, and they're holding pretty large objects that are also glinting in the night.
Svarm made a mistake.
I mean, you have time in this moment to be like, okay, bye, and just run away. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I think... All right, this is the narrative reason that this is happening. This is how I'm going to rationalize this. Is that, again, when Svarm made the connection with the Moss Tyrant, with the wall of moss, like there was a genuine empathy that happened there, right? Like Svarm really was like, oh my god, you are me, I am you. Like simma limma 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 limma. It's like a real like really felt that presence, which is why they were like, okay, I'm going to bring you with me. Like you are more than just a weapon. You're more than just an object in this world. Like you are a living being as I am. We may have been constructed, but we're still alive. We still have some semblance of the spark of consciousness or whatever within us. But seeing these lights, kind of knowing that the Doom Seekers are probably on the horizon. Again, maybe like an ancient or ancestral memory, like it's sparked in Svarm and is like, oh shit, we're in trouble. Svarm looks at the moss wall and kind of like pats it again, just like the hard big dog pat, and sheds a single tear from each face, so 2 tears total, but just one from each face. Bows their heads and just like books it down the path.
Great, yeah.
They look at the system and they say, "This is my mission," and they go, "We're sorry, friend. This is our mission," and just kind of like books it down the path.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, the Moss Tyrant does not have like opinions on your actions, but right, like a big dog plant thing, it like gives some last semblance of like blooping out, a kind of tentacle wave Moss fan to like kind of high five slap you or whatever as you run, and you are running away from 2 Doom Reapers and their Reaper guns. Glittering in the night, rushing through the low moss atop the elf crypts to try to find you, and you are presumably running, just jumping down rocks like, ow, that hurt, hitting your knee, and eventually trying to get the attention of, you tell me, do you get the attention of the Mulrics and your boss, or do you just run away? Do you tell them?
I'm going to try to get their attention for sure. It's like an Indiana Jones start the plane moment kind of thing. Yeah. It's like, go, get out, go.
The Mulrics hop. I mean, they all sort of have now. They mostly, I think, have been asleep on and off, taking shifts. But they are very well hidden by moss. Like they're all just covered. They've really adapted to this environment and really taken on board some of your tactical advice.
Nice.
Also with loose rocks. A lot of them have found pretty flat rocks, or made sort of. They've made little structures, little traps. They're pretty clever with now that they've spent a couple days traveling through the north, and they just explode out, and these sort of moss covered. They look like humanoid frogs with like very like 60s hair, like kind of like like race blind. Everyone just had poof, like my dad had like poofy hair.
Oh yeah.
So it was it's just up,
My dad had an unfortunate blonde perm when he was in college in the 70s, where it's like, ooh, Papa.
It's a real flex that people don't do as much now for whatever reason.
For whatever reason.
So they have like moss hair, and they are rushing immediately in a very like as quietly as possible, as organized as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Following the Sparkseer, making sure the Sparkseer is older, is able to sort of get down, and they also care about the pink one, but they also kind of are half leaving that to you, like, you got this. Maybe there's a couple looks back and croaks of like they basically say, Shrashun ?
Yeah.
And Shrashun is freezing. I mean, she's just had a hard time sleeping. Dawn is going to break very soon, but hasn't quite broken. It's only been 4 hours. And she rushes towards you and asks, did you get it? Sees that you have it and says, oh, this is wonderful. We will be able to do so much good. You have no idea how many lives you've saved. Do you have my jacket by any chance?
I mean, I'm assuming that I have it, but...
Yeah, you have it. It looks like it sort of can't be folded together anymore. It's just like animate, like blue butterfly kind of thing.
Yeah, Svarm says, "We have it, however, ... It's like not wanting to own up to it. Svarm is like, this nanite system is quite powerful, and like tries to button the cloak around Sharshum, and it's just like, it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. we don't know what to tell you.
I mean, that is not something she would be concerned with, especially if you let her know, like, hey, there's 2 Doom Reapers, like, right up there.
Yeah. We have your cloak. However, we must make haste. We have upset the keepers of these crypts.
Excellent. In that case, she just shuts up about the cloak and is just following you down the mountain.
Cool.
I think we could spend some time doing some rolling to get away. We could talk about other things going on, but I think maybe in the interest of time, wrapping this one up, we could say this is one short, finished, venture. And I think a few questions remain, which is, do you give over the system, the Illuminum system, to Shashun and this group of Mulrooks to bring back to a greater, group of bands to use? I guess other than that, I mean, do you have any final things you want to do, like in this venture canonically? We can always resume the adventures of Svarm.
Yeah, we can come back to I like that, the adventures of Svarm. Sounds like a bad pulp science fiction novel series that I would definitely read. Svarm will hand over the system to Sharshroom, but kind of like start to, and then kind of be like, you must know that this creates living beings who must be treated equally as well. They are not just weapons; they are alive, as we all are. And then hands it to Sharshroom.
She takes it and thanks you. This is, let's say, dawn back down in the foothills in the Palt Moss, in this kind of so there's a sort of reddish light at dawn, and due to the shading of the elf crypt, we'll say it dawns on the west, essentially, on this world. So there's a weird backlit, like you can now see, backlit this great, plateau you've just come down, and somewhere out there, these Doom Reapers who are furiously looking for you, they probably have no idea what's going on, right? Or they might have doubled back and discovered, but at first it was just like a disturbance, like someone who's not supposed to be here on the plateau. And now you're with your compatriots and well hidden and within the moss of the Palt Moss. And you hand it over, and Shashun thanks you and says, basically, she says she doesn't know how to explain it in Spin because we don't really have the words for it, but they're going to use it so that they can, distribute resources equitably among each other. It's some crazy concept, never work. But yes, we're going to. The whole point is to let the Sparkseers and the other. There's not all the pawn churches have Sparkseers, apparently. They all have hell scientists, we've learned. Don't tell the other refactors, but we're going to let them sort it out. So what we've really done is just help at least some of the Mulrooks. I guess it wouldn't be all, but anyway, a bunch of them decide their own fate there on the border between the woods of the south, and the company-occupied lands of the Swale and the mountains. So we thank you for that. Of course, no one can ever know any of this, Farm. You must realize we both would be rebranded, spaced, like horribly tortured before being spaced, if they ever found out. So just an FYI for your report. Maybe the report says something like, I hadn't senile, I was drunk. Anyway, we'll come up with something fun that I was doing that was not this. We have some time to walk back. But thank you. And yes, the Sparkseer gets the thing and looks at it, jiggles it, gives it over to a soldier. Soldier bags it in that same bag they put your crap in. It's like a big, heavy bag. Yeah. And they look and they thank you. They croak out, and the Sparkseer says in broken Spin, we know your sacrifice. We can treat your wounds, but the wound is you've left Gijou for up there. And when you come back, then that wound will be treated. Some wounds maybe cannot be treated. And sort of gestures at you're actually 2 people who are a monument to a civil war that happened 1,000 years ago. So good luck with that. But they're very appreciative. And yeah, I think with that, I don't have any more for this one. I think we could put a pin in it. And yeah, I love the idea of if you want to play a level 2 Svarm, you would level up basically at this point.
Great. Yeah.
This is a little odd because your refactor was on the venture with you, which never happens. So normally it's about do you lie to them, but in this case, like they kind of know what happened. So it's do you both lie to everybody else?
We're in cahoots for sure.
Yeah.
I would say as an epilogue, I think that Svarm is going to try to find a way to get back to Gijou, and to stay there. Maybe it's even just like trying to quit the Co in some way, shape, or form, and coming back to Gijou in order to kind of take up Sharshroom's mission of helping the Molrocks and unifying Gijou once again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be an awesome campaign that no one else has done. So that would be a fun one if you want to explore that on Why We Roll, is occasionally dipping into this kind of macro scale political campaign, but like what would essentially one rogue agent like do, right?
Yeah.
Because, it's a big multi-front like problem. So I think that'd actually be super interesting to try to think about. And we could make up a bunch of crap together and it could all be canon. That would
be great.
So... all right, so I guess with that, we should probably wrap it up. And thanks for playing Stillfleet again. Again, I hope it's been fun for you. It's fun for me.
Great time. I love it.
Awesome.
I think we'll have an episode where we talk about mechanics and everything a little bit more in depth. But I love the system. I think it's a lot of fun. And love playing Svarm. Love that I got to try to tame a giant semi-conscious wall of moss and lichen. That's pretty sweet. Thanks for listening to Why We Roll. Our theme music is by the brilliant Sam Tyndall and Arcline. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
You can find us on Twitch and what used to be Twitter at Why We Roll, and on Instagram at whyweroll.pod.
You can find out more about Danse Macabre at timespaceplace.itch.io/dance-macabre.
You can find out more about Stillfleet at stillfleet.com. Thanks for listening.
Hi there, I'm Hugh from Poderation. If you like today's show, why not check out Dungeons & Dragonfruits, the bizarre, strange, and queer in every sense of the word D&D podcast. Join 5 friends as they laugh, learn, and adventure their way through the weird, wonderful world of Widdershins, where dragons hatch from trees and have adventures of all forms in every shape and size. Available wherever you can get your podcasts.